Frank asked a question. He says, I have to do inspections as part of the due diligence area. Do I use any real estate inspector for this? Does the fact that it is not a single family home, but 26 units make a difference regarding what kind of inspector I use? Could someone give me an idea of what the typical cost per unit is? I contacted one inspector who offered to bring a team of 4 inspectors and do it in one day. If I do that, though, I can't personally visit every unit. I'd appreciate comments. Okay, so let me kind of walk you through this whole concept of what you need to have done from an inspection standpoint. So the first deal I ever did, 40-unit deal. I went out and hired a house inspector. The guy went out and typically looked at did the whole inspection of a person's house. Oh, hey, Jeff Kelly, do you know that there's a guy sitting right behind you? I just want to let you know there's a guy sitting right behind you. Yeah, he's clueless. It was a 40-unit property. I hired a housing inspector. I paid him $40 per unit. That's $1,600 for the day. He thought he had died and gone to heaven because all he had to do was go through 42-bedroom, 2-bath units and just go through them like it was a typical housing inspection. And then he had to check the roof and the HVAC and foundations. I can tell you right now, I never did that again. Because what I found out was that the report that he gave me, and that's kind of what you're all looking for here, is you want to have a third-party inspector come in and give you a report that you will be able to deliver to your investors to show, hey, yes, we've done the inspection of this property, and here's the report. But the problem was that this guy went in and inspected all the units, but he didn't tell me what I needed to know as a multifamily owner. He told me, oh yeah, this is, the carpet is 2 years old and there's no sign of water and what have you. But what I really needed to know, and this is the question you always have to ask yourself when you're ever going in to do an inspection, is if I were to buy this property today and the person that's living here now moves out, how much is it going to cost me to get this unit rent ready? Is it in minor repair, or is this thing a gut rehab? That's the thing that I looked for once I started getting good. And I've done over 3,000 unit inspections. So the first thing when you start, so what I ultimately got to was having the property inspector do those things that I couldn't do, which was the roof, which was the HVAC, which was the physical plant, which is the foundation. Give me a report on those things. But I'm going to go in and I'm going to do every single unit myself. And when I walk into a unit, and if you go in the due diligence section, if you go in, there's actually a couple of videos that I've done in the archives of what to do when you walk into a unit. The first thing you do is smell. You're smelling for mold. If you smell mold, you got a water problem. You got to find that water problem. Then you go in, you start to think to yourself, okay, what's it going to take for me to rehab this unit if it became available tomorrow? How bad is it? Look at the carpet. Look at the appliances. Go in the bathrooms. Look for water stains. Look in the corners of the units, looking for water stains in the ceilings. I mean, so there's a whole litany of things that you can do. You don't need to hire a property inspector to do it, because remember, the most important aspect of a physical inspection is in the filing cabinet in the manager's office. And you have to go through every one of those files. And one of the things you do is when you grab that rent roll and you look at it and you look at the leases and it says, oh, Mrs. Smith lives here. She's lived here for 7 years. And then you go out and check out Mrs. Smith's unit. You find out, well, Mrs. Smith lives with Mr. Rodriguez and he's not on the lease. Why isn't he on the lease? He needs to be on the lease just to protect yourself, because he has to go through a credit and criminal background check as well. Anyone over the age of 18 has to be on the lease. And then the other thing that you have to look out for too is any pets. When you walk in there, you smell for water, you're also smelling for pets. Are they paying a pet fee? Did they pay the pet deposit? All those things, make sure that those leases, which is what you're buying, actually represent exactly what's going on that property. So that's just a couple of tidbits. I've got it all in the due diligence section, and then also there are some Monday night calls as well as coaching call archives where I do talk about exactly what you need to do. So ultimately, what ended up happening was I went from paying $1,600 for a 40-unit property to just a 188-unit property. I spent $1,800, and I just paid that guy to check the roof, check the HVACs, check the foundations, give me a report. I'm going into every single unit because I know what I need to do. So as you go through the process, you know exactly how to save money. I mean, and the other thing too is that one of the deals I did, I was working on a 3,000 unit portfolio down in Texas, and we had a property management company that was looking to get the business, and they came in and they acted as the property inspector. They did the whole report for me, in the hopes that they would get the business once we took over the property. So that's another way to try to cut your costs, is use a third-party property management company that you plan on using when you take over the property. Have them do the initial inspection. Don't use the existing property management company.